So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to our Texas Children in Nature workshop today. I really appreciate all of you coming on a Saturday morning, bright and early. We appreciate it. We have some really great presenters today. We're going to hear from Melissa Felty, Christy from EcoRise, Larry Joe from the Nueces Delta Preserve and Coastal Bend Basin Estuaries Program, Gabby from Keep Austin Beautiful, and then also Morgan from University of Texas at Austin. So I'm really looking forward to all of our workshops today. If you have any questions at any point during today's workshop, go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll be watching that and let our presenters know as we get to the question and answer period. Also, if I could ask, unless you're presenting, if you go ahead and turn off your video, just so that we can keep the broadband as free as possible for everyone. So as they are doing their presentations, that can go smoothly. Once again, thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it over to Melissa and have her go ahead and start. Oh, also, closed captioning is available if you are needing it. But yes, go ahead, Melissa, if you want to go ahead and get us started.
All right, cool. Good morning, everybody. And so what I'm going to be doing this morning is just while everybody's entering this session still, it's just a little icebreaker. And so I'm going to share my screen really quick. And it doesn't look like, let me check.
Oh, we can see it, Melissa.
You can see the National Parks abbreviation?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Because I see my desktop. All right, awesome. So, so what this is national parks have abbreviations just like species do. So the scientific species, a lot of times it's the first two letters of the genus and then the first two letters of the species. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to advance and go through the PowerPoint. And so first thing I'll show you, so I'm going to give you the four code. So I'm going to give people about 3 to 4 seconds just so people have a chance to try and guess it. And then what I'll do is I'll throw a picture up. Maybe that will spark you to know which national park it is. And then I will put up the name. So you can either unmute yourself and shout out the answer, or you can put it in chat. And so I've got the chat open, so I'll try to keep a look at that. So good job. So people are already getting that one. So let me throw up the beautiful pictures. I tried to find the beautiful pictures. So we need some nature in our lives, some water, some green, some rocks. And so that's where, so this one, very good, everybody. This one is Yosemite. And I put the location as well. And the location is just the state in case anybody wants to visit any of these. So I will go to the next one. Good job. This one I just went to. So beautiful. Highly recommend. All right, so people are starting to get it. And if you want to keep it a challenge, don't look at the chat until you find out what it is. But if you want the answer, you can go into the chat. Awesome. So let me show a picture. And so this is a little hint. And this one in the middle of the circle on the left-hand side, I believe that's the start of, it's called the Elephant Parade. And so it really does look like elephants holding on to each other's tails. And so each one of these arches has its own unique name. And so this is the Arches National Park in Utah. If you ever go out there, the Delicate Arch, there's like a 2-mile one-way hike. Highly recommend if you're able to do that. Don't look at it from the other distance. I went to a different national park and hiked and just was worn out, so I didn't do it, but I wish I would have went to the Delicate Arch. On the Delicate Arch, you can view it from afar on another trail as well. This is probably the hardest one. So I'll give somebody just, because the picture is totally going to give it away. So any guesses on this one? Okay, so it looks like people got the original name and why it's got JEFF. And so I read into this one, and this one changed its name in 2018. So that's why. So that's what it is. And it's the Gateway Arch National Park. And so normally it should be GAAR. Maybe that one was taken. But yeah, it's the Jefferson National Monument. And so that's where it's got its original name. So that was probably the hardest one that I had in here. And that one's in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri. All right, how about this one? Yeah, some people, it looks like Chris has been to the top. So going up into the arch here, I'll just go back to this one. Going up into the arch, I did it probably when I was like 10 years old with my family, and it's an elevator that goes up and it tilts, up and tilts, up and tilts. So I don't know if it's the same thing, but I highly recommend going up into it. You know, with all the state parks and all these monuments, there's some of the monuments that are closed for visitation, but there are a lot of the national parks that are open. So just make sure you check the park before you go, even with the Texas Park and Wildlife as well. So this one, the picture's gonna give this one away. You guys ready for the picture? Anybody got any guesses? All right, here's the picture. This is the one that I hiked prior to going to the arches in Utah. So didn't read the elevation of the hike I went to. I believe it was Copper Falls. And I was like, it's only 2.9 miles, but it was 2.9 miles one way of pure rocks and a 900-foot elevation climb. Didn't read that elevation when I started. So that's why my legs were a little hard to do the delicate arch. So this one is in Washington. It says this one is Mount Rainier. Let me just make sure the chat's going because some people stopped guessing. So yeah, it is still going. So this is Mount Rainier in Washington. Absolutely beautiful. Let's see who gets this one. This is hometown, folks. So think of the first two letters. And then it's a two-word national park. Yeah, people have gotten it. Sweet. So that's a good way to think, even with scientific terms with species, is to try and look at the first two letters and the last two letters. So yes, look at that, stunning. We do have really good sunsets here in Texas. Absolutely beautiful. So this is Big Bend National Park here in Texas. And this one's a little confusing too. So this is almost a reverse. And if anybody's a quarter collector, this one has the bat. I believe it's the fruit bat that's known on this island. There's a couple other hints on the island. And so it's on the quarter for this one for a national park. And there's the picture of it. And right now, the only way to get to this national park is you have to quarantine. Yeah, Sarah's got it, Samoa. So you have to go to Hawaii, I believe, and you have to quarantine yourself in Hawaii for 2 weeks. Then you have to, you can only stay, I believe, for 3 days for a health check and stuff like that. So to visit this, it's a little bit longer. So yeah, Larry Joe, I love the bats. Never seen them, but bats are amazing. So this one, it's just you can see National Park of American Samoa. So what I put is, that's the actual location. It's in the South Pacific. And that's the Ofu is the island. And so Hawaii is up here, and then the Samoa Islands are down here. All right, how about this one? This one, I'm bringing it back to my hometown a little bit. This one is well known for its moose, yeah, and its wolf population. So I had to put a moose. They're huge. So this one is the Isle Royale National Park, and that's up in Michigan. Absolutely beautiful. And the waters up there by Lake Superior are just clear, but cold, very, very cold up there. All right. This is on my bucket list. I want to go to this one. I want to go to all of them. What am I fooling myself? So here's a picture. Bryce Canyon. Awesome. Good job, Sarah. So Bryce Canyon National Park, this one's in Utah as well, too. That's cool. It just doesn't even look real. Right. Good job, Christy from EcoRise got Bryce as well. Yeah, Chris and Christy. MJ, good job. Patricia, good job. Awesome. Beautiful. I just want to stare at these pictures all day. So this is Denali National Park, which is in Alaska. And this one, should I give you guys a hint? The last two letters is the Spanish word. Sarah's already got it. The Spanish word for turtle. And the first two, you're not wet, but you're dry. Look at those aqua water. Oh, it's so beautiful. Dry Tortuga National Park in Florida. We have to give a lot of credit to this person in his national park. And his national park is known for the wild horses. Yeah, Sarah's got it, MJ's got it. So that's Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. So I think I've got there's 2 minutes left and I think I've only got a couple left. So I even forgot what this one was. Oh, now I remember. So this one is going back to bats. And there's a prehistoric large mammal that is the beginning word to this cave. Here's a picture of it. Awesome. People got that one now. Fantastic. So Mammoth Cave National Park, and that's in Kentucky. This one's also bringing it back to the Midwest. Beautiful picture. So a lot of people think that's Lake Michigan. And I believe if you see on the horizon, because it is on a clear day, you can see the skyline, that city of Chicago. Yeah, Chris has it. Sarah got it. So Indiana Dunes. So the water really is blue like this a lot of times in Lake Michigan, and you can see on a clear day. It takes about 2 hours to go, 2.5 hours to go from Wisconsin to Michigan to take a ferry across. So it's a beautiful lake. When it was in the 50 below a couple years ago, it was set a record for the amount of ice coverage. So it was 98 to 99% Lake Michigan was covered with ice. So it's pretty cold. So Indiana Dunes National Park, and I was going to make a funny and say that was in Africa or something like that, but it's in Indiana. Just to put a funny in there. These are gorgeous as well too. Big old mountain range. Yep, good job, Rebecca. Sarah and Larry Joe have it as well too. So this one is the Grand Teton National Park. And let me just go through. This one is in New Mexico. Yeah, White Sands. And I'll just do pictures. This one's in our hometown as well too. That's the Guadalupe Mountains, I think. This one's in Colorado, Black Canyon. And this is, I believe, the last one. This one's in Florida as well, too. Biscayne, yeah. Good job, Patricia and Sarah and MJ. Awesome. Biscayne National Park in Florida. Oh, I'm sorry. One more. The Voyager. And I had to finish with the Northern Lights. It's always the beautiful water and then Northern Lights. And so Northern Lights are absolutely stunning to see. So if anybody gets up north and sees them, they're beautiful. So thanks for playing. And this is all pulled from the National Park Service, so nps.org. So hope you guys enjoyed the little icebreaker and looking at some nature. So I will stop sharing my screen. Awesome.
Thank you, Melissa. That was fantastic. It was a nice little nature break for our Saturday morning. So I am now going to turn it over to Larry Jo Edwards from the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries program. And she's going to do a talk on nature journaling for the next few minutes. So thank you so much.
Okay, let's start with, is it too noisy where I am? Give me a thumbs up if I'm okay. Or let me know in the chat. Are we okay? We're all good.
We're good.
The train came by, they started sawing, the bus turned on, all as we started this webinar, but I really wanted to be outside for nature journaling. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about nature journaling and how I came to Nature Journal, because I was sort of forced into it, and the benefits of it, and then we'll create a page together. So if you want to take this time to grab a pen or a pencil and some paper, that's all you're going to need. We're not going to do a whole lot of fancy stuff today, but I was a hard scientist. My undergrad degree is in marine biology, and I thought I would farm fish for the rest of my life. Either that or work for Exxon and sell my ethics and my soul to find the loopholes in laws, because I really enjoyed that as well. But I ended up in the classroom teaching because I also minored in education. And while I was in grad school, I had a professor who wanted us to go out, nature journal, and make friends with the trees and the birds. And that was very difficult for me. But after 18 months of having to journal every day, I saw the benefits of nature journaling. And some of those are all the different ways you put those facts in your brain. So you're drawing them, you're using qualitative data, you're using quantitative data, you're just filling your brain with facts in every different pathway you possibly can. And those are easier to remember. I have a friend who can pull out his journal from 10 years ago and say, remember when we did this? And then say, I just learned this about that. And it's amazing that he can do that, but it's because of all the ways we put it in our brain. It works for science majors, but it also works for those that maybe are not quite as scientifically minded, but really have a passion. And then, of course, it connects us to the out of doors, which is really, really important in this time period where, you know, we're stuck inside most of the time. So I thought I'd show you how to set up a page. I'm going to switch from this beautiful outside to my Ava version where my paper is flapping. All right. And I guess I should turn it this way so y'all can see it. And we're going to set up a page. Now, I'm using a Sharpie because I want you to be able to see the page, but you can use your pen or your pencil. So the first thing we do when we're nature journaling is we date the page. So today is the 14th, thank you for pinning me, of November 2020. And then if you have a topic for today, you would label that. So if I had given you a topic with your kids to go out and compare and contrast two leaves, that's what your topic would be. Or if I had asked you to go on a wonder walk, that's what your title would be. But we're just going to call it Nature Journaling 101 today, because that's what we're doing. And then the next thing is to take a little bit of metadata. Metadata is just basically your weather, where you are, your location. So as with the state parks, we have an abbreviation out here. I'm at the Nueces Delta Preserve, so I'm just going to put NDP. there, and I'm at the top of the hill. So I'm just going to draw an arrow beside it. That's how I denote that I didn't go down by the river. I stayed up in the grassland area. That's just my own personal annotation when I'm going in the field. And it is a whopping 78 degrees out here right now. And it is partly cloudy. So I draw this, it gives the kids something they're pretty successful at, to draw a sunshine and a cloud. So when you're doing this with kids, it makes it a little bit easier for them as well. So that's kind of the metadata. It is not humid. The wind is 8 miles per hour right now, which is pretty low for us. And it's out of the southeast. So that's all my metadata that I know today. And then the next thing we do is we write a description of our location or draw a map. So for those who kind of know where I am, our bay systems are tertiary bay systems, and I'm in the back of Nueces Bay. So that's my location of where I am today. And that's just a quick map. I didn't do anything terribly exciting there. If I'm going to draw a map of Texas, I use a cookie cutter because kids can't draw the state very well. So I just bought a bunch of Texas shaped cookie cutters from the HEB, and that's what I use to draw the state of Texas if we're going to other parts of the state to make it a little easier for them. And then what I'd like y'all to do is, if you've got something natural around you, go ahead and sketch that. So I can sketch a tree because I'm sitting outside, but we're going to sketch what we see. And I'm going to do just a quick sketch. One of the things I remind kids is that this is your nature journal, not your art journal. It doesn't matter how well of an artist you are, because what's most important on this page are the words, numbers, and pictures. So as long as there's a picture here and I label this mesquite tree, because that's what and I just misspelled mesquite tree, and mesquite tree, that's all right. That's all I need to do. So I'm gonna add some more kind of branches coming off because it's pretty branchy and leggy today. And if I were gonna draw a mesquite tree, like to hang on my wall at home, I'd use more than a Sharpie, and B, I'd probably take 3 or 4 hours drawing it to get it right. So what I'm doing in a journal should take me no more than 5 minutes to sketch out. Think about when a bird flies over, that's going to take you like 30 seconds because your bird is going to be gone. So just a little kind of gesture sketch of what you're looking at. I always put something at the bottom to ground my picture. So a little bit of grass. Now this tree is about 10 feet tall. And it's about, so this is tall. And at its widest point, it's about 8 feet across. So if I were doing this with kids and I was going to grade this page, this would be enough. I've got a title, I've got a date, I've got metadata, I've got a sketch with words and numbers, all right? But then you want to build on this. So you want to build some observational skills. I want you to sit at this mesquite tree every day for a week and write all of the things that you see beside it. And if you don't have a mesquite tree in your schoolyard, whatever you've got in your schoolyard. Or I want you to take 100 inches of rope and lay it down at the base of the tree and see what you can find as you take a little inch by inch hike on that 100 inches. Or maybe you put it up the tree and you see what insects are climbing up and down the tree as you go. But you're going to want to start small and then add to those things. So here's just a basic journaling 101 page done for you. Unfortunately, I'm going to switch back to me so you can see my face. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to do in the wind outside. Doing nature journaling with kids in the classroom, I suggest you start small. I suggest you use something as simple as the clipboard and regular paper so they don't feel intimidated by a blank journal. I suggest you make your grading rubric very easy to understand And you remind them that this is their nature journal, not their art journal, and it's where your thinking happens as we go along. Are there any questions about what I did so far? You can type them in the chat and I can answer them from there. All right. So some of the things you want to think about is when you have kids that are really they have that fear of journaling, give them some prompts to use. So some of those prompts can be, I notice that the leaves are green. I notice that the leaves are smaller than most trees. I notice that the bark kind of has this weird twisty version to it, and I wonder why. So the next question would be, I wonder why the tree never loses its leaves. If I'm like a 3rd or 4th grader, that might be a question I wonder. And then it reminds me of, so mesquite trees remind me of cows, which I was scared of when I was a kid. So that it reminds me of is whatever connection they can make to whatever memories they already have in their head. And someone asked me what they do just a few times a week. Depends on the age group and how much you want to get out of it. If you have the time to do it every day, the pencil miles are worth it. And if you can keep their first page day 1 and day 147 and show them how much they've increased in their knowledge and their skill, it will be amazing. Once a week is awesome. I bare minimum would want you to do it once a month. So to pick a spot that we call a sit spot and go back to that same spot once a month. So every kid goes to their own sit spot, picks a place that they want to sit at all year long, and they take their 10 minutes of notes and they do their sketch. And then 1 month later, they go right back to that place and they notice any differences. So bare minimum once a month, but the more you do it, the more advanced they'll get at nature journaling. And I do have kids collect their own metadata. We use the thermometer, we use the Kestrel. If we're down by the pond, we use hydrometers to get the salinity, all of that we use on our own. If you've got a group of kids that don't have that data, they can use their phones just as easily. But if you can afford to put a weather station at your school, that would be awesome, because then they can go collect that data right there from the weather station. Either way. Does anybody have any other questions? All right, guys. So what I can offer you is I come into your classrooms virtually. So you'd put me on your smartboard via Zoom, and I can teach these same lessons. I've got 100 lessons that I can bring into the classroom. I spend 10 minutes with your kids. I start kind of like I did with you, Nature Journaling 101, and we work through advancement as often as I can come in. I'm doing it once every 2 weeks right now with the classrooms that I have. And I give them a lesson, then you take them into the school garden if you have one, or into the playground area, and you do that lesson. So you and I would talk about what you've got on your school grounds, or if they're still at home, what you think they have access to. So whether that be, sometimes I do it with refrigerator fruit. And so we're all gonna go to our refrigerator and find the first fruit we see, and that's what we're gonna sketch in Nature Journal on today. And then we come back together and we talk about what they learned. So I'm reinforcing that you're doing the work with your students in your class, and I'm happy to do that to help you get used to the idea of nature journaling and the skills that it takes. I've been doing this 12 years now on a daily basis, so I've got lots of ideas. I have a 7-month curriculum on how to teach a child how to draw and use the tools that we use with nature journaling. But for the most part, I'm here. I'm your resource. I love to do this, and I get paid to do this, so use and abuse me. Sarah, that's what I've got for you. If anybody has any questions, I can put my email in the chat and y'all can talk to me later. Thanks, guys.
So why don't we take about a 15-minute break if you guys have easy access to the outdoors. If you guys want to take your nature journal and practice these skills for the next few minutes. And so if anyone would like, I'm going to go ahead and set a timer for 15 minutes. So if you guys want to turn off your screens and go ahead and practice these skills together, let's go ahead and do that. So welcome everyone. Does anyone want to share one of their journals?
I can go ahead and share mine.
Okay, so if everyone wants to go ahead and at the top, switch it from gallery view to speaker view, then we'll be able to see what everyone's done here.
So Sarah, I've got what I did. I sat by the feeder and made a bird list. I'm going to switch that. Everybody see that? Anybody else find anything really cool in their nearby nature? Maybe something you hadn't noticed before?
I'll go ahead and share. So one of the byproducts of working for Larry Joe for a year is you start to watercolor your journals. And so I just did what's right outside on my balcony. So I've got a nice oak tree, and I could hear a crow as I was sketching. So I just added a crow to my sketch as well.
That is true. Watercolor is fun and kids really enjoy it. And you can make watercolor palettes out of Altoids boxes and Dentine ice. I'll have that up on our YouTube channel because I did it for a class last week by the end of next week. So you can look on the Nueces Delta Preserve and learn how to make your own Dentine's ice box if you want. Anybody else see anything? Maybe something you hadn't noticed before in your nearby nature, or something that just caught your eye differently today?
I saw 2 cardinals in a tree today that live in my neighborhood, and so I sketched it out. And then I sketched out the tree they were on and a sketch of the leaf of the tree.
So do you see cardinals in your neighborhood often?
I didn't realize that they travel or like go in pairs sometimes. I've only seen one, and today was the first time I saw 2 following each other, and it was cute.
Yes, it is very cute. I love cardinals. They're residents here, so we see them. But like you said, they're usually one at a time, so it's neat to see 2. That's cool. Anybody else see something that maybe was interesting or that they hadn't noticed before? I had a woman notice a tree in their backyard for the first time, and it was 4 foot tall. She obviously never went in her backyard to not notice 4 foot tree, but she was so excited to see this tree. Well, I do suggest the 100-inch hike for looking for new and unusual things. Like I said, that's just 100 inches of rope, and you can put it out in a straight line, or you can squiggle it, or you can make a circle out of it, and just really pay attention to those things that are on the ground in that 100 inches, because you'll find all kinds of things you didn't know you had. It's very fun. Oh, someone saw a family of turkeys. I don't know where you are, but that's cool. I have been missing ours. In your front yard? That's cool. I wish I had turkeys in my front yard, but I do get turkeys at work, so that's okay. Livermore. Very cool. Well, Sarah, I think we had some good observations in our nature journal, and I hope to see many of you nature journaling for years to come. So like I said, I am just an email away. If you need anything at all, I'm happy to help you in your classroom. Thanks, Sarah, for having me this morning.
Thanks. We've got a couple more minutes before our next presentation starts. If anyone has any further questions for Larry Joe, we've got time. If you want it, you can even just call them out now. You don't need to put them in the chat if you want.
How do you engage children who don't want to participate in the nature journal?
You can usually find something they like. So for the person who feels like they can't draw, I start them out as the recorder. Take your job today is to make this list of birds that we saw, or whatever you're doing, to write all the observations someone else says. I also work in pairs a lot, where they can collaborate on a page, where they have a scavenger hunt or a bingo card that they have to fill out, and then by working in pairs, they can pull on their strengths. But the more you do this, even your most apprehensive student will start to kind of come along, because she'll start to make observations, or he'll start to make observations, and someone else will get excited about it, and that excitement is contagious. So I try to start them where they're at. So we might just go outside and make lists, and then we might come inside from that list making activity and sketch our favorite something where they can pull out a book or do it sitting at their desk and feel more comfortable. And then the next time we go outside, they may just have to sketch one thing. Just, write your observations, take your data, make sure you include your metadata, and put one single 1-inch sketch and draw a little 1-inch square. So that's all you've got to fill with sketching, because it's usually the statement is, I can't draw. And that's all right. I have someone who works for me that when she has to teach this, she tells them, if I draw something and it looks like a caterpillar to you, but I've labeled it has long ears and bays like a donkey, you have to know I meant it was a donkey. So, reminding them that adding labels to their sketch makes a difference. Reminding them that this is their nature journal, not their art journal, and this is where their thinking happens. Another thing that's really fun for kids, I'm not sure what age group you teach, but curiosity chains, where their job is to sketch something and write as many questions as they can, but not answer any of them. And then you come back together and you ask each other questions and see what you can find the answers to. But the answers aren't important. It's just getting that thinking started. Any other cool questions?
Larry Jo, we've got a question from the chat, which is, do you teach a lesson from something they have discovered?
I do. So a lot of times I teach in groups of 10, and I put them in groups of 2 to 3 at what I call discovery hoops, which are just hula hoops on the ground. And then I walk from hoop to hoop and ask questions like, what are you looking at? Or how many leaf shapes do you see? Or whatever, just trying to get them engaged. And once those questions start coming to observations, then I start teaching the lesson on that. I'm a generalist, which means I know a little bit about everything, but not a whole lot about anything. So I'm able to do that very naturally. If you are going to study plants and you're not comfortable with plants, bring a botanist along with you. And it doesn't have to be, it can just be a master naturalist who likes plants. It doesn't have to be anybody like true researcher. But yes, I like discovery-based learning. I think it's very fluid. I think the kids take more ownership of it. So I teach discovery-based. Whatever they're seeing is what we talk about that day.
So another one in the chat is, if you, go ahead, sorry, Larry Jo.
If you're not teaching a class and only have one opportunity with kids, is there a way you can still teach nature journaling? And are you working at a facility where maybe you only have one touch per year with children?
No, I'm a master naturalist trying to put together a youth education program where we'll probably have the events and kids will come to them, but it won't be always the same kids every time.
Gotcha. All right. So yes, you can still teach nature journaling. What you're going to want to do is frame it very differently. You're going to want to have a, like today we're going to study leaves, and you're going to have a page set up with 2 boxes, and you're going to do one big leaf and one small leaf and compare and contrast. Or today we're going to take a 100-inch hike. So it's a standalone lesson, and then you just encourage them to keep the habit up. And so another one is I take a page and put like a T across the center of it. And in the top left square, I write, I notice. In the top right, I say, I wonder. And the bottom, it reminds me of. And on this side, questions. And so I give them 2 of those pages with whatever lesson we do, so they can go home and fill out 2 more pages. And it's real simplistic, and it doesn't even have a sketch on it unless they want to sketch. So those are some of the ones. I can send you, if you email me, some of the curriculum I do with kids where I have one touches, because we still do nature journaling with them. But those are some of my ideas.
Okay.
Leaves don't move, but like today they're doing birds, so they're sketching birds. But these kids bird with their teacher all the time. So yes, I'm their one touch of nature journaling, but she's going to reinforce that. So that's a little different.
Any other questions? Okay.